Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Aphrodite, aka Madam Suave. If you are new here, I would like to welcome you to the community. Be sure to check the description box below and like, comment, share, and subscribe if you feel called to. Remember that energy is timeless and fluid. This could be past, present, or future energy. Flip roles if they need to be reversed and only take what resonates and leave the rest for what it's meant for. So we have quite a bit of energy to get into today, okay? I'm literally just going to kind of work my way through it. But let's go ahead and get right in. So the main energy here is kind of about transformation and growth, okay? So you are either in a period of transformation and growth, or you are someone who is constantly growing, constantly evolving. And there's some sort of like split decision here that you are making, or maybe you are feeling that you are being pulled in, multiple directions at this time. But it's kind of the question that you are asking, right? Because as I'm saying, right, you are constantly growing. And so your path is going to involve many people. For some of you, this has to do with relationships, different sorts and kinds of all sorts of kinds of different relationships. Okay, the question is whether or not you are going to grow together or separate. Okay, now as I'm saying, as you are on a path of growth, on a path of transformation, it is very natural for some paths to just kind of split off, right? People grow apart all the time as a natural part of life. And sometimes as you grow and as you transform, the things that you want to change, okay, and specifically it can change from what you originally wanted, and it can kind of separate you from people where they may not necessarily align with the path that you were heading down and the path that you are going. And so for some of you, kind of what I'm getting is you may have been someone who maybe you were kind of overstretching yourself, or just like stretching yourself very, very thin to kind of hold on to people, hold on to relationships, kind of trying to like do what you wanted to do, but at the same time but also kind of over expanding yourself to accommodate other people maybe, or to keep certain people in your lives, just kind of going just kind of going above and beyond to kind of maintain these relationships with people, okay? And so one thing about it is it's almost like you were kind of being a slave to yourself, okay? Or for some of you, you may have felt like this pertaining to, other people, like maybe because especially when you love someone, you kind of want to do you want to do what you can to make them happy, etc. I spoke about ultimatums before in the past. I don't think it was on here, but I made a really long video about ultimatums because it was around like the time someone told me I should watch the show. This was when the show first came out, and I already knew that I wasn't going to like it because of the topic of ultimatums, okay? Typically they usually do not go the way that you want them to, or someone may give into the ultimatum but then it doesn't last, okay? And it's for reasons because it's very much if they want to, they will, right? And so we all may have different milestones we're trying to reach, different things that we are desiring. And so maybe you come across people on your path and you are expecting them to fit into what it is that you desire, which is very, very unfair to them. And so this can almost make them feel in a way a slave to having to abide by certain orders, having to maybe because they feel like it is pressure on them, because yes, you do love a person, okay, but love is not simply enough, right? And like I said, when you are growing, when you are transforming, some paths are naturally going to separate. Your desires may change, the things that you want may change, and they may not align with that person or people any longer. You have to get to a point to where it's not like you telling somebody, okay, this is what I want, and this is where I'm headed, so you can either be here and do this, or you have to go. Why are you putting pressure on them when you could easily say, okay, from your perspective, I see that this is not going in the direction that I wanted to, or maybe this is not the best situation for where I am headed, and you can easily exit that situation without having to put pressure on another person, right? It's holding yourself accountable for the things that you desire and not putting that on someone else, right? And then it's also because like I said before, especially when it comes to like dating, relationships, etc., it's like you are looking for people who are kind of matching the frequency of what you are desiring, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that person is what you desire, right? Just because they may be on the same timeline as you and they fit into this picture that you are trying to create does not necessarily mean that you are actually desiring that person. It's just that you may desire them in a moment because that is what they are giving. They are giving to you what you are seeking, a picture that you are trying to create. But like I say, it's like it's missing all of the substance, right? It's too It's like a very analytical, okay, a very, very analytical, doing everything like logical, analytically, and not actually kind of enjoying and being in the moment, allowing the fruits to develop, if that makes sense, okay, allowing the fruits to develop. And like I said, in growth, in stages of growth, especially, when we're thinking about plants, sometimes you got to prune, sometimes you got to let the dead fall away, right? Sometimes you have to let the dead fall away. But this is also learning, what relationships are worth putting the work in and what doesn't require an investment, or what is not worth the investment of putting energy and time into. And for others, there are some people who are learning a lesson on burning bridges that you are going to need to cross again, right? There are some people that are learning a big lesson on kind of just, as I said, people are going to grow apart. That is a natural part of life. However, then you have people who kind of may burn bridges simply because they do not want to hold themselves accountable, okay? Do not want to hold themselves accountable, but may need to cross that bridge again, okay? So these could be like people who just recklessly burn bridges with people, okay, is what I'm picking up on. There is also something about someone having cancer cells that are splitting, separating, and multiplying, okay? Growing very, very rapidly, spreading in the body, all right? I am picking up on there are going to be, some heavy conversations that need to be had with people, or there is something about, things being exposed or needed to be brought to the light, okay? And I do mean this through conversation, okay? Intimate conversations, kind of unearthing what is hidden, planting roots, right? Especially because if we're talking about relationships, partnerships, there are certain things that need to be said, certain conversations that need to be had, and you can't just kind of put a band-aid or patch up things and pretend like they don't exist, right? So I'm literally getting that this is like a sink or a swim moment, okay? Like I said, you cannot, not speak and pretend like something doesn't exist, right? Just because you don't say something does not mean that it doesn't exist, and it doesn't mean that it cannot be felt, right? Especially when we're talking about building partnerships, etc. Everything is built on trust. So you cannot expect someone to like fall, right? And what I was literally hearing a trust fall, okay? Trust fall, you fall back and you hope and pray to God that they catch you, okay? But you are building trust, right? Trust is the foundation of any relationship, any partnership. And this is friendship, this is business, okay? Business, all of that, right? It requires trust. The actions and words need to line up. So as much as we say, actions speak louder than words, sometimes so does what you don't say, okay? Sometimes the things that you don't say speak very, very loudly. You can't really trust someone who is going to, keep things from you or not really give you, the full truth. It's giving the other person a lack of security because you do not feel secure within yourself to be able to either say something, to admit to something. And I don't know, this could be because you are afraid of how someone is reacting, but you cannot fear how someone else is going to react in order, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like tiptoeing, right? Because then you are tiptoeing around each other and like you can feel the energy, okay? You can feel it. Say what you mean and mean what you say, because the truth cannot be trusted if you cannot admit to a lie, okay? When trust is broken, like the touch changes, okay? The energy changes between two people. A touch of comfort turns into agitation, okay? You don't want that person touching you anymore because it's like the security that you may have felt is gone, right? So like I said, their touch doesn't feel the same, the energy doesn't feel the same because it is off. So for others of you, this is not simply about, being able to trust another person. This is also trusting yourself. So releasing trauma bonds. And in order to release trauma bonds, you have to kind of uncover the truth of, things that have happened to you. This is also may involve, healthy conversations with yourself as well as healthy conversations in partnerships. So this could be friends, like I said, friends, business, everything, okay? Being able to open up about certain things so that they can actually help and accommodate you. But it's also, creating that bridge so that you guys can help one another, okay? And you are working together, right? These are partnerships. When you release and you begin to open up about your trauma, you begin to heal those things. It also prevents you from creating trauma bonds with other people. And it also helps you to not be manipulated through your emotions, okay? As it helps you to not be manipulated through your emotions, because there are some people who they will literally prey on your trauma, okay? They prey on your trauma, try to like learn your weaknesses and kind of play on those things to either keep you stuck to them, keep you attached to them, keep you dependent on them, okay? And this is what I mean when we talk about, false prophets and people who kind of keep you stuck in a loop, keep you stuck in a cycle, right? Because it's almost to keep you dependent. That's why I said when I originally, came on here when I first started making videos, I said I am giving this to you so you can do the work for yourself, because it's passing on the baton. Like, eventually, I said, eventually the grasshopper is going to hop on off, okay, sensei of your own life. Now, however, with my platform in particular though, we are always constantly growing and evolving, right? It's like when you are on that path and that journey together, you continue to grow with one another. And that's why I say a teacher always remains the student, because you are constantly climbing to new levels, to new heights. And so anyone who is, a student of you is also climbing, and it's like literally there is no ceiling, there is no cap. So it's like even though you are senseis of your own life, it does not mean that you cannot still be a contributing part of, like this platform, whatever, however you want to call it. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. I think you guys get it though, right? But it's basically saying, as long as you are growing with one another, then there is no cap, right? People are always still going to support you. People are always still going to be there. They're going to have more to contribute, right? It's like you are growing as the people who kind of look up to you, who learn from you. As they grow, you guys are all growing with one another. That is when we talk about, lack mindset, okay? People who prey on people's trauma because either they are trying to harvest that energy or maybe get money from them, etc. But that is a very, very lack mindset to have, because you are keeping people stuck in a loop to keep them dependent on you when you don't need that, right? It's like your energy is going to speak for itself. What you provide and offer is going to speak for itself, and people stay because not only because of results, but like I said, the more the people around you are growing, the more that you grow as well, right? It is oh yes, you guys are benefiting one another, okay? You guys are benefiting one another. I'm gonna leave that there because I'm kind of drifting and I don't really know. Like, I'm trying to put it into perfect words, but y'all know me. A lot of things are not gonna come out perfectly. Like, it's just wishful thinking, okay? Wishful thinking. Yeah, so you are beginning to trust yourself, okay? Recognizing places where you may have been blind, okay? Because like I said, love can blind you. When you are so full of love in your heart, it's like you may overlook people's shadows, or maybe, like I said, yes, a color blindness that you may have because you're thinking that it's you. You're thinking, oh, maybe I'm projecting, maybe I'm doing this. But no, you have to really, really trust your gut, okay? No longer overlooking things that you shouldn't. But this also means, recognizing things within yourself that you may be blind to, because like I said, those skew your vision, right? When we were talking about, you have to remove the mote out of your own eye before you can pick it out of your brother's eye or whatever. Y'all know what I'm saying? But essentially, it's like you cannot see clearly if you cannot see yourself clearly, right? Because you don't know when you are projecting. It's like some of us are a little too aware, a little too conscious of everything, hyper conscious, hyper aware. And then there are others where it's like they lack awareness of themselves, so then they project, okay? You have to know, your own shadows. You have to recognize the things that you are blind to within yourselves, because then it is easier to discern between projection and projected energy, okay? So what I mean is, energy that is being received and energy that is being given out, okay? It is easier to discern. So like I said, you have to know, because when you are not aware of your shadow, or you try to be blind to certain aspects of your shadow, and then that is now, overcast, okay? It's overcast energy. So you are kind of blind to everyone else and don't realize when it is your own energy, okay? You are also healing these things because, when you don't have things that are healed within yourself, or when you are simply looking at things from kind of like not necessarily face value, but as far as, because as I said, your desires do change, and once that trauma is healed, you kind of unearth the true parts of yourself, okay? Who you truly are and what resonates actually with your soul. So this also has to do with compatibility, okay? Some of you are realizing that maybe you are not as compatible as you thought you were with someone. Maybe some of you are also realizing that compatibility does not necessarily mean that you are the same, right? Compatibility means that it's like you complement one another, right? Because being too much alike it can be a recipe for disaster, okay? That can also pull you apart. It can create conflict and restriction, because when two people are too much alike, then that means they are doing everything kind of mirroring one another a little too much, right? So if you're acting the same, and you handle situations the same, then that means where's the bridge? Like, who is going to be the one that kind of like solves the problem? You know what I mean? You want to be a puzzle piece that fits together, not two like not two blocks just kind of smacking one another but can't fit. You know what I mean? Because if you are too similar, and for some of you this may have been a problem, something that was recognized as being a little too similar, and the way that you do things, the way that maybe your communication styles are a little too similar. Woo! Yes. Sometimes here's the thing. Sometimes when two people are too similar, right, at handling situations, because what I'm saying here is, something drifting, okay? Something drifting. So this could be like, say, maybe like two people are a bit avoidant, okay? Two people may be a bit avoidant, or just kind of like, if something drifts, then you're just gonna fucking let it drift, right? You're just someone who, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna feel the energy, whatever happens. Or maybe you kind of analyze things the same way, and you kind of act on things in the same way. So maybe you guys do not realize that you are acting the same, and why, there is a lack of communication, but it's because you guys are mirroring each other, but it's not helpful and productive and conducive, okay? And this isn't a bad thing. So I'm not saying, two people who are the same cannot, have a good and healthy relationship, it just means recognizing how similar that you are. And so at this point now you got to be like, okay, we are very, very similar. So now you can actually figure out how to kind of come together and actually solve and resolve things. Okay. So that is what I'm saying, right? You have to understand and recognize why, because sometimes it's not the fact that you are too different from one another. Sometimes it is the fact that you are the same. And like I said, life, there is no such thing as difference, right? Difference, I'm saying, kind of sometimes go hand in hand, right? It is a constant circle. Like I said, so sometimes, when you are too much alike, you can also butt heads. Okay. You can also butt heads when you are too much alike. So you kind of have to know, remember how I said, sometimes the teacher has to know when to be the student. It is like that. Okay. So for some of you, I don't know, maybe you are, constantly, argumentative, or maybe you feel like, it's like you may not know when to submit. Okay, you may not know when to submit. And submission is not weakness. Okay, submission is wisdom. So just know when to lead and know when to be led. That's pretty much all I can say about that. Okay, but you are also healing both the self. Okay, so this is self-love. Okay, so as you heal the self, as you begin to love yourself, you choose healthier partnerships. You are also repairing the relationship with yourself. Okay, like I said, as you kind of release certain traumas, you are repairing. And maybe you have some guilt about how you have treated yourself, about the things that you have accepted, and you are kind of repairing the relationship with yourself before you kind of repair relationships with other people, maybe. Or repairing this relationship with yourself is bringing you in healthier relationships with people. Okay, it is helping for you to maintain these relationships, etc. Okay, so honestly, I hope that I got everything out. You can usually expect me to have, additional messages on the screen if I need to, okay? But I am going to leave the message there for now. I hope that this was helpful to you in some way. If you enjoy my channel, my content, my energy, if you resonated with this message, I do ask that you like, comment, share, and subscribe if you feel called to, and I'll see you guys on next time. Love you all. Bye.